Welcome to this stretch and release class. This is a little bit different in that this class we're going to be focusing on our lower back, so all of the stretching and release exercises that we need to do. Perhaps if we've been sitting for a long time, if you've been sitting at a desk or you've been driving and your back's a little bit kind of achy and your hips are kind of feeling a bit stiff, this is a perfect session for you. And all you need for this one is a strap or something similar, and of course, as always, if you feel that you need some cushions or something to bolster yourself at any point, feel free to have things around you that you can just grab and use as needed. And we're going to have our legs out long, and let your legs be as wide as is comfortable for you, and if they want to kind of roll out to the sides, that's fine. Sometimes lying down fully flat on your back can be a little bit uncomfortable if you have a lot of tension through the back line of your body, so sometimes it can really bother your lower back. So we're just going to lie here for a while, take some deep breaths and just notice how our body's feeling. We want to try and relax those ribs down. So notice if lying here is making those ribs want to arch and your back want to kind of lift away from the floor. So see if we can relax down. And if trying to drop those ribs means that your head kind of rolls back, then think about lengthening the back of your neck. So maybe dropping your chin a smidge to give more length through the back of your neck. And we're just going to hold here for a few breaths. Sometimes just giving your body time to settle and to adjust will allow it to let go of tension sometimes that it's holding on to. And then staying in this long leg position, we're going to just start to gently rock your hips from side to side, rock your pelvis from side to side. And if you're not kind of sure how to get that movement, sometimes squeezing one butt cheek will kind of lift one hip, and then you can relax it and squeeze the other butt cheek and lift the other hip. So we're just kind of looking for that kind of rocking, that tilting of your pelvis. And you can do that squeeze and release of your butt if you want. Just get a little bit of movement here. Just trying to get some movement around our pelvis to begin with. And then we're going to bend the knees. So let's have knees bent, feet flat. And let's have those feet and knees about hip distance apart. And we're going to take it into our pelvic tilt now. So tilting your pelvis towards you and then rolling it away. And notice how when you roll your pelvis towards you, your lower back presses into the floor. So your lower back is completely flat. And kind of really tilt it, really get some pressure on that lower back as you tilt towards you and then roll it away. So sometimes if there's a lot of tension and tightness there, even just a little bit of pressure will help it to release. This movement is really good, obviously, for mobilising all of the muscles that support the pelvis, so the pelvis is moving, but also for releasing our lower back. So just a little tilt. And then bringing your knees in towards your chest, let's just rock gently side to side here. Again, using the floor to apply pressure. And notice how when you roll to one side, there's more load on that one side. Obviously all of your weight is now on that one side rather than it being spread across the whole of your pelvis. So just kind of pausing as you get to each side, just to notice how more load, how it feels. And then as you roll to one side this time, hold there, and then maybe try curling up a little bit. So you're kind of curling your head up away from the floor, and again feel how that again increases the load, so there's now more pressure there. And then just lower your head back down, roll over to the other side, and again just lifting and just feeling how more weight, more pressure, just kind of releasing that lower back. Maybe just do that a couple more times. If you don't like the curling up and adding of the head lift, just keep your head down, that's fine too. And then rolling back in through centre. So we're going to keep the feet and the knees together, and we're going to lower the toes down just to tap your toes onto the floor, and then bring your knees back in towards your chest. Now normally when we do toe taps, we try and keep our pelvis still. I want you to let your pelvis roll here. So your pelvis will kind of roll into a more neutral position as your toes come to the floor, and then as you bring the knees into the chest, let your pelvis tilt back. So we're letting that pelvis, so it's still like the pelvic tilt, but because we're adding the legs in as well, more load, yeah? More load, more pressure. And we're rolling out that lower back. Also working your abdominals, so it's kind of a little bonus for you. Let's just do a couple more of these. And then as your toes come to the floor this time, we're going to find that cobbler position. So let the soles of your feet come together and your knees roll out to the sides. And we're just going to stay here for a few breaths. So cobbler's really nice. It releases the inner thighs and it allows us to start to open out and get more mobility through the hip joint. And let's kind of find that little rocking movement again. You can go back to kind of squeezing one butt cheek if you want to kind of lift one hip away from the floor, but we're just gently rocking side to side in that cobbler position. So all of these movements, we're just exploring what movement we've got there, any tension, anything that we can let go of, and just seeing how our body feels. So, you know, if one particular movement doesn't feel right for you, you can always just go back to something that you do like. You can always go for a little knee hug or just rest if you've had enough. Good job. All right, and then just pausing there. We're going to bring the knees back in closer towards each other, and then let's take our feet wide. Let's take our feet to the edges of our mat, and then let your knees roll in together. So let those knees come all the way into touch, and then hold here. So starting to think about that hip mobility again. So because we've got our feet wide and our knees have rolled in, we're in a little bit of that internal rotation. So not a place that we spend a lot of time. So we're going to just play around with this a little bit. So just a couple more breaths here. And then let your knees come apart a little way. Let's take one leg and we're going to have that one leg just in our normal position. So foot flat, knee pointed straight up to the sky, as we would normally have it. And then the other leg, we've still got that foot wide, and we're going to kind of walk that foot out to the side even wider to give us some space so that we can then let that knee drop in. Yeah, so we've got one leg in that rolled in position and the other leg's just in that normal position here. And then we've got this leg, this hip joint, really in that internal rotation. So it might feel a little bit stiff, it might feel a little bit weird. If you need to move your foot around a little bit further in, further out, to get that position that feels okay, then absolutely do that. But let's hold here. And then we're going to start to move this leg a little bit. So we're going to start to lift that knee back up towards the sky. So taking it out of that internal rotation and then letting that knee roll back in again. So we're just going to let that knee kind of start to roll out and then roll in. Let's go really nice and gentle, really nice and slow. Again, just notice how our body's feeling, how that hip is feeling. And then as you roll that knee back in this time, we're going to hold it again there. So just hold it in that same position again. And then we're going to let that knee come back up towards the sky. We're going to bring that leg that we've just been rolling in and out, we're going to bring that knee into our chest. So bring it in towards you, take hold of that knee and let's hold here. So it's back in a more normal position that it will recognise and that we do quite a lot. Let's just take a couple of breaths here. And then that same leg that we're holding on to, we're just going to straighten that leg out long and let it come all the way down to the floor. And hold here for a couple of breaths. Again, just kind of putting it back in its normal neutral position, just letting it readjust. And then we're just going to bend that knee in towards our chest and then straighten it out along the floor. Then we're just going to do that a couple of times, just again back into our normal positions that our body uses most of the time. So bring that knee in and then reaching that leg out long. A couple more. Bring it in, reach it out long. One more time. Good, okay, and then we're going to bend that leg and place that foot down on the floor, so back into our feet flat, knees bent position. We're going to do the same on the other leg, so we need to walk that foot out. So walk that foot out to the side, out to the side, out to the side, so that we can then let that knee drop in. And turn around. So we've got that knee dropped in. Again, it's in that internal rotation position. It might feel very weird through your hip. It might feel completely different on this side to the other side. Go again, hold it here. Feel free to move your leg around a little bit just to find the position that feels okay for you. And then we're going to do that same. We're going to lift the knee up towards the sky and then lower that knee back in again. So we're letting that leg come out of internal rotation and then back into it. Move nice and gentle, nice and slow. We're not trying to force anything. Good job. And then as it rolls in this time, let's again hold here for a few breaths. I don't have nearly as much internal rotation on this side as I did the other side. It's really different. Good. Alright, and then again we're going to kind of bring that knee back up to the sky. We're going to bring that leg in, bringing your knee into your chest and hug it in. Let's hold here. And then lengthening that leg out long on the floor. Hold there. And then let's again, like we did on the other side, we're just going to bring the knee into the chest and then lengthen that leg out long on the floor. We're just going to do a few of those, again, just to get that hip back into its normal position, its normal movement pattern. Good job. And now we're just going to bring both knees into your chest, give both knees a little hug and just rock gently side to side there. Okay, So we're going to keep those knees in towards us, and we're going to cross one ankle over the other. And then we're going to reach down, see if you can grab your feet. And then the foot that's on top, we're going to slide that foot up and try and cross the legs over. So you're going to kind of end up with your legs in that cross position, holding onto your feet. If you can't hold onto your feet, you can hold onto your shins. Yeah, so I've got my legs just kind of cross and I'm holding them. And then we want to try and have those knees squeezing tightly together, or wherever your legs are contacting, squeeze them tightly together. And see if you can lift your ankles. Are they kind of dropping down? Can you try and lift those ankles? So this is really good for your hip. So the leg that's on top, that's the hip that's really getting this kind of release here. So I'm going to hold for a few breaths. If this is too painful, please come out of it and just go into your normal number 4 stretch, because we're going to end up there shortly anyway. So if this is too much, just go to number 4. Good. Okay, and then we're going to keep the legs crossed, but lower the bottom leg down to the floor, and the leg that's crossed over, we're just going to take it into our number 4 stretch. So we're just going to slide along until our ankle is resting on that knee. Yeah, so we're back into number 4 stretch. So we're going to have that foot flat, and we're going to hold here for a moment, just allowing your body to just settle a little bit. And then we're going to roll to bring the sole of the foot down onto the floor. So a roll to bring that foot down. And we're going to keep that knee pointing up to the sky. So notice if that knee is trying to drop, keep it pointing up. And then we're going to roll our upper body back out into that T position and hold here for a few breaths. And again, you can feel it's really intense in that outer hip area. If it's too much, come out of it and just go into a spine twist. Otherwise, we're going to stay here and take some deep breaths. Good. Alright, we're going to roll back onto our back. And we're going to do the same on the other side. So bring your knees into your chest. Cross the other ankle over this time. Grab your feet. And again, we're going to slide that top leg up and over so that we've got our legs crossed. Holding onto your feet or your shins, wherever you can reach. Try and squeeze the legs together and see if you can lift your ankles, so again, so they're not dropping. Just makes it a little bit more intense if it's not intense enough. So just grab wherever you can hold on to. And if it's too much on this side, number 4 is just a very good option. Can you also breathe? Can you pat your head and rub your stomach at the same time? Can you whistle the national anthem? We can hold here for a few more breaths. Alright, lowering that leg down. And then finding that number 4 stretch. So we're going to slide that calf along your leg to find your number 4 position. Pause in there for a moment. And then again, when you're ready, we're going to roll to bring the sole of the foot down to the floor. Knees going to stay pointing up to the sky, and we're going to roll our upper body back out, finding that T position. And we're going to hold here. When you're ready, we're going to roll onto our back again. We're going to uncross those legs and bring both knees in towards your chest. So bring the feet and knees together. Keeping your arms in that T position, we're just going to gently roll our knees from one side to the other. And then whichever side your knees are going to this time, let the knees come all the way to the floor. See if you can keep your shoulders down on the floor, and can you get your knees down on the floor. You're probably not going to get your shoulder blade down, but can you get your arm down? Again, don't force it, just be where you are, but see what you can do with that. So we want to have something anchored. If you can't get both knees and arm anchored, one will do. Take some deep breaths here. And then we're going to take that to the other side. So picking those knees up, bring them up one at a time. And then bring the knees together, roll them over to the other side. Again, getting them down to the floor. And then see if you can keep your shoulder, your arm down on the floor whilst keeping those knees down. And then when you're ready, again we're going to roll onto our back. So pick up that top knee first and then bring that second knee up. And again, let's just go back to that rocking gently from side to side. Okay, let's take the feet back down to the floor now. Let's have feet and knees hip width apart. And then reach your arms down and just have your heels where you can just reach them with your fingertips. That kind of puts your feet in a really good position. We're going to play with our hip lift here. So if you do have anything under your head, just take it away for this one. Okay, and then we're going to press into our heels and lift our hips up towards the sky. And then I want you to relax your ribs down. So we're trying to lift the hips, but relax the ribs down. And we're just going to hold here for a few breaths, keeping your weight in your heels so that it's your glutes and hamstrings that are working and holding you up here. And then staying in this up position, can you lift one heel off the floor? So you've just got one foot flat down and the other foot is on your toes. And then without lifting your leg high, can you lift the toes off as well so that your foot is just hovering off the floor? And then place that foot back down. Let's do the other side. So lift just your heel first. Then can you lift your toes so that your foot is just hovering off the floor, but you're not have to lift that leg really high. And then place that foot back down. Let's do the other side again. So heel first, then toes. Can you hold it? And then lowering the foot. Other side, heel, toes, foot lifts. Place the foot down. Do one more on each side. You're trying to keep your body as still as you can without a huge shift from one side to the other. And then as you lower your foot down this time, lower your bottom all the way down and bring your knees into your chest. We're going to do a little bit more with that hip lift, and we're just going to lift the hips up and then lower them down, and we're just going to do that a few times. So back to feet and knees hip width apart, fingertips reach just so that your heels are just about where you can touch them. Pushing into your heels to lift your hips up and drop your ribs. And then lower your bottom all the way back down. Do that again. Push into your heels, lift your hips, keeping the ribs down, and then lower back down. Keep going, just going at your own pace. Really trying to work glutes and hamstrings. It's really nice for strengthening glutes and hamstrings, but also opening out the front of those hips. Two more. And as you come up this time, come up and hold it again. And let's drop those ribs, lift those hips and hold here for a few breaths. And then when you're ready, lowering your bottom down, bringing your knees again into your chest and just rock gently side to side. we're going to make our way up to seated. So come on up, and we're going to have our legs out long in front of us. And then I want you to have your feet flat. So you're going to push out through your heels, pull the front of the foot towards you, and we're going to round forwards. So you can have your hands on your legs, kind of walking your hands forward, drop your chin towards your chest and allow your spine to round forwards here. And we're going to kind of be fairly relaxed here. If you need to sit on something to lift you up a little bit higher, then do, that's fine. If you need to have a little bend in your knees because your hamstrings are super tight, that's fine too. But we're rounding forwards here. Trying to keep those feet flat, because if you tend to point your feet, it kind of takes some of the stretch away, and we really want to get that length down the back of the leg particularly. How far down can you reach your hands? Can you reach your feet maybe? Keep letting that head hang. If you can reach your feet, hold your feet. Just hold wherever you can reach. Let's take some breaths here. Let your head hang. Just be as relaxed as you can. Good. And then when you're ready, I'm going to just slowly come on up. Okay, we're going to go over onto our hands and knees next. So make your way onto your hands and knees. And you can choose, you can either stay on your hands or you can do it on your elbows, and let's have a play and kind of have a little play with both of them. Okay, so we're going to just take one leg out long, tuck those toes under, and all I want you to do is push your toes down into the floor and push your heel back. So it's a stretch of that long leg, yeah? So toes are pushing down into the floor and then pushing that heel away. Just hold there for a few breaths. Ooh, my mat's sliding. So like I say, you can try it on your elbows. That might feel nicer on your elbows. It might feel nicer on your hands. Try both, see how it feels. I kind of like it on my elbows there actually. Couple more breaths here. And then we're going to switch legs. So bring that leg in. Lengthening the other leg out long. Again, tucking those toes under. Pushing the toes down into the floor and pushing that heel away from you. Getting that length down the back of your leg. A few breaths here. Good, bring that leg in. Let's go back to the first side again. Same thing, we're going to really push the foot down into the floor. So really push the foot down and then push that heel away. And then go back, other side again. Really pushing the toes down into the floor, pushing that heel away. Good. Alright, and then bring that leg in. And we're going to come onto our hands now. So if you're on your elbows, come up onto your hands. Very similar, we're just going to change it slightly. We're going to take that leg out long again, but instead of going straight back, it's going to come across. Yeah, so it's come across, pushing the toes down into the floor, pushing that heel away from you, and then holding here. Good. Alright, and then bring that leg back into centre before you bend it in. Do the other side, so leg out long, and then bring that leg across, that midline, so come across your body. Toes press down, press that heel away. Good, again bring that leg in through centre before you bend the knee in. We're going to add a little bit more on this time, so change legs again. Leg goes out long, we're going to come across your body. Press the toes down, push the heel away, and then I want you to look over your shoulder like you're trying to see that leg. So we're adding like a little bit of a side bend into it as well. Looking over, seeing if you can see that leg. Hold here for a few breaths, keep pressing that heel away. Good, and then come back in through centre, bring that leg in before you bend the knee in. Same on the other side, leg out long, bring it across. And again, we're going to look over our shoulder, pushing that heel away, kind of adding like a little bit of a side bend to it as well. All right, when you're ready, bring it in, bring the knee in, and let's just come off our wrists for a minute and just give your wrists a little shake out, a little twirl, because we're going to do a little bit more on our hands and knees. So let's just give our wrists a little break. Okay. We're going to do some Superman stuff. So let's come back onto our hands and knees again. And fingers spread wide. Thumbs point towards each other, elbow pits are forwards. And then that gets your shoulder blades in that nice position. So remember, we don't want them squeezing together. We don't want them super wide, we kind of want them halfway. Okay, let's do arms first. So just reach one arm forwards and lift without changing your shoulder position. And then do the same on the other side. So we're looking for stability here as we reach one arm and then the other away. So just do a couple on each side. Good, all right, and then we're happy with the arms. We're going to do the legs, but we're going to change it a little bit. So before we slide the leg out long, I want you to lift one knee off the floor. So you kind of hover your knee first, and then straighten that leg out long. And then lift that leg, try not to change the position of your pelvis or your back, and then we're going to bring that knee back in. Same on the other side, so we're going to lift the knee first, then straighten the leg out, lifting that leg without changing your spine, and then bring that leg in. Do one more on each side with your leg, so lift the knee first, then straighten it out. Good job. And then same on the other side, lifting the knee first, and then straightening that leg. And then bring it in. Okay, little twirl of your wrists again. We're going to do a bit more, a little bit more. So we're going to take the arms out to the side this time. So we're going to take the arms out to the side. Enjoy this bit, because when we start with the legs, that's when the torture really kicks in. Okay, so fingers spread wide, thumbs point towards each other, elbow pits forwards. Get your shoulders happy. And then we're going to take one arm out in front and then out to the side. And then bring the arm back in, all the way in. So reach the arm out in front first, taking the arm out to the side. Try not to change your shoulder position, and then bring that arm back in. One more on each side with those arms, nice and stable. All right. As you bring that arm in this time, we're going to do legs. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to lift the knee off the floor first. We're going to lengthen that leg out long. We're going to lift the leg, and then we're going to bring the leg out to the side. And then can you get that flat foot so that your foot's kind of parallel to the floor? There's the work. Take that leg back out long and bend that leg back in. Woo, we're going to do the same leg, because I'm just mean like that. Lift the knee first. Lengthen the leg out long. Bring the leg out to the side. Try and get that foot kind of parallel to the floor. Oh my goodness, how hard is that? Bring that leg back and bring that knee in. Oh, come off your wrist before we do the other side. Now, if that's too much with that leg coming out to the side, what you can do is do it with a bent knee. So lift the knee, take the leg out long, and then bend the knee and bring it out to the side. So rather than it being out flat, you can kind of have a bent knee. That kind of takes the load off a little bit, but we're really working those hips. We're going to do that on the other side with the leg. So, are you ready? Are you prepared for this? Let's see how we are on this side. Lift the knee, straighten the leg out long, lift the leg, and then bring that leg out to the side. Get that foot parallel to the floor. Take that leg back and bring it back in. Same side, lift the knee. Lengthen the leg out long. Bring the leg out to the side. Can you keep it hovering? Can you lift it? Woo! All the way back. And then bring that knee in. Come on off your wrists again. Yeah, that really shows you what strength you've got in your hips, because keeping that leg up rather than keeping it crashing to the floor takes a lot of strength. So it kind of gives you something that you know, I can work on that. I can work on that. Okay, let's have a play with how stable we are. Instead of it being like 3, like, 3-point stability, we're going to go for 2. It's nicer, this one. It's better than that one. Okay, so all we're going to do here is lift one hand on the opposite knee. And then switch.
One hand opposite knee, just lifting them away from the floor. You don't have to lift them forwards or lengthen them out. We're just switching one hand, one knee. And then we're trying to do this without changing your spine, without changing your pelvis, keeping everything nice and stable. How stable are you on a 2-point base of support? That's what we call it. Yeah. You get it. All right. If you're happy with that, this time as you lift the hand and the leg, we're going to reach them arm forward, leg back, and then bring them back in. Other side, lift the hand and the leg, and then reach them forwards, stretch and lengthen, and bring them back in. One more like that on each side. Lift, reach, back in, lift, reach, back in. This time we're going to take the arm and the leg out to the side, okay? It doesn't have to come all the way out to the side. We've done this one before. So again, opposite arm, opposite leg lifts. They reach forwards and then we take them out to the side, kind of like an X, I suppose, isn't it? And then come in forwards and bring them back in. Again, opposite hand and leg. Reach forwards, take them out, back in, back in. One more time. And then as you come back in this time, you can take yourself into child's pose. Take your bottom back towards your heels, reaching those arms forwards and just allow your body to sink down to the floor here. Take some deep breaths. We're going to come up and we're going to take it into a lunge. So we're going to come up and we're going to step one leg forwards to find our lunge position. And we want to have this shin as vertical as we can because we're going to come really far forwards. So you might want to walk your back leg back or your front leg forwards, just so that when you come into that deep lunge, this shin is still pretty vertical. Yeah. And then we bring our hands down to the floor. We're going to just hold here for a few breaths. Just kind of letting your body settle here. If you need a bolster or something to bring the floor up higher for your hands, then feel free to grab anything. And then we're going to twist towards this front leg. So twisting your body towards this front leg, and then can you bring your opposite elbow to the outside of that knee? Yeah, so elbows come across to that knee. Yeah. Then you can strike a pose or grimace. But we're using that elbow to kind of draw that knee in towards us and to allow us to find a little bit of a twist here. Taking some deep breaths, make sure you're not holding your breath. And then keeping our body twisted, we're going to let our hands come back down to the floor, wherever they can reach. And then we're going to tuck those back toes and see if you can lift that back knee off the floor. And then hold there. If you need to put that knee back down, then do. Otherwise, we're going to hold here for a few breaths. We're still kind of twisted towards that front knee. And we've got that back knee lifted. Whew. One more breath. Lower that back knee, take that front, remember which leg you've done, we need to change sides, bring that leg back in and find child's pose. Have a moment there. We need to make sure that we're going to do the other leg, otherwise we're going to be super wonky. When you're ready, let's come on up. And we're going to do on the other side. So again, stepping your leg far enough forwards that when you come into that deep lunge, that shin's still pretty vertical. You don't want your heel closer to you than your knee. Yeah. So, and then again, just allowing your body to relax into that position, bringing your hands down to the floor. Hold there for a few breaths. And then again, we're going to twist towards that bent knee. So twisting your upper body to that bent knee. And then we're going to bring that elbow across. And the elbow is going to come to the outside of the knee, kind of drawing that knee in towards the midline and allowing you to find more twists. Whew. Keep breathing. Now can you pat your head and rub your stomach at the same time? Alright, still keeping that twist, but let your hands come back down to the floor. Can you tuck those back toes and lift that back knee and hold there? Good job. And then when you're ready, lowering that back knee, bringing that front leg in, finding child's pose again, reaching those arms forwards, and take some breath there. We're going to come back up onto our hands and knees for our thread the needle. So when you're ready, we're going to take one hand, we're going to thread it behind the other one, reaching, twisting your body around to bring your ear and your shoulder down towards the floor. Now sometimes when we do thread the needle, what we tend to do is take our bottom kind of back towards our heels. And we need to try and keep your hips directly above your knees. So just notice if you're kind of taking your bum back, can you keep it like directly over your knees? More load then for your shoulder. And we're going to really reach that threading arm through as far as we can to give us a real good stretch here. Couple of breaths. And then we're just going to do exactly the same on the other side. So use that supporting hand to press into the floor to help you come up and find that thread the needle on the other side. Again, twisting, reaching that arm through and trying not to take your bottom back towards your heels, trying to keep your hips above your knees as you reach through. Take some deep breaths. Good job. All right, when you're ready, coming out of that position, we're going to tuck our toes under and we're going to walk our hands in because we're going to come to that rolled down position. So we're going to lift the knees, so you're in that little squat position, and then we're going to come to standing, but keep your head down. So head stays down as you come up into that roll down position here. All right, hold here for a few breaths. And now what we're going to do is we're going to walk our hands forwards a little way to give us some space so that we can step one leg in front of the other. And then we're going to try and straighten those legs. Ooh. That will find those hamstrings. So you can keep those heels down on the floor. If you need to bend that back knee, bend the back knee, but try and keep your front one straight if you can. Maybe backing your weight up a little bit. If you need to bend both, then bend both. But we're really trying to keep that front leg straight if we can. Good job. All right. We're going to step that leg back and switch, bring the other leg forwards. And again, try and get that front leg straight. You can bend the back one if you need to. And then hamstrings, eh? Whew. And then we're going to step that leg back. So we've got both legs level. Bend your knees. Just kind of hover there. Maybe bend and straighten those knees a few times here. Okay. And then straighten your legs as much as you can. Stay in here, straighten them. If you need a little bend, that's fine, but straighten them as much as you can. And then can you take your hands away from the floor and maybe grasp opposite elbows and kind of just hang here. So now we've taken the hands away from the floor, we're really loading those hamstrings, making them hold the weight of our body rather than kind of transferring it into our hands, kind of spreading the weight evenly. So keep trying to back your weight up, loading those hamstrings. Whew. All right. And then we're going to come up to standing. So bend your knees and just roll yourself up to standing. Okay, those are tough. Like, come up to stand, and we're going to cross one ankle in front of the other. And we're going to roll down again here. So we've got one ankle in front of the other. Can you roll yourself down? Bring your hands down to the floor, let your head hang. And you keep those legs straight if you can. Take a couple of breaths. And again, if you don't need those hands on the floor, you can take the hands away from the floor, just kind of again grasping opposite elbows. If you feel like you're going to fall over, keep your hands on the floor, go near a wall.
And then we're going to switch those legs over. So you can come up to standing if you want to before you switch, or you can switch while you're down there if you feel that you're not going to fall. Crossing the other ankle over. And again, we're just going to round down. Bringing those hands to the floor, letting yourself just round. And again, if you don't need those hands down, let's load up those legs a little bit more. And again, we're going to come out of that. You can roll yourself up. And we're going to take the legs wide this time. So take them super wide. Kind of as wide as you feel that you can. And then still try and keep your toes pointing forward. So we've not kind of turned them out. And we're going to forward fold here. You can have your hands on your legs. So you can get your hands down to the floor. If you can get your hands down to the floor, even better. Maybe once you're kind of down here and you've been down here for a couple of breaths, you feel that you might be able to take your legs even wider. Take them as wide as you can comfortably manage. Don't force anything. And again, kind of just hang in here. Let your head hang. Just come down to where it feels okay. If you can get your hands on the floor, like I said, that's good because then it will help to support your weight here. We want to have a little bit of support here. You can always use them, a coffee table, a couch, bed, chair, to rest your hands on. If you can't get to the floor, maybe you can come down to your elbows, hang out here, enjoy yourself. A few breaths. It's good. All right, and then to kind of come out of that, let's walk those feet in towards each other. Walk them in, and then bend those knees to come down. And we're going to go onto our back for the strap stretch. Grab your strap and make your way up to your back. Whew. Did you find some hamstring tension and tightness there? I think I found some that I've forgotten about. One leg in the strap. As always, the strap wants to be at the base of your toes, kind of at the ball of your foot, and that leg as straight as possible. And then your other leg out long on the floor, and that one as straight as possible too. It doesn't matter how high this leg is, so if to get this leg straight you need to lower it down, then lower it down. It's more important that it's straight rather than how high it is. And we're going to push the heel away, pull the front of the foot towards us. Take some deep breaths here. And then if it feels okay, let's bring that leg across your body. Bring it as far across as feels okay, but don't let your hip lift off the floor. So we still want to have both butt cheeks down on the floor. And that leg's come across your body. Can you lift it a little bit higher towards your head? Ooh, find a little bit more stretch there. Don't force it. Don't rip your leg off or anything at this stage, but just see how it feels. Can you get just a little bit more lift? And then we're going to bring that leg back in through centre. We're going to slightly turn it out and take the leg out to the side. Hold in there. And again, maybe can you lift that leg a little higher towards your head? Ooh. Hold in there. Good job. When you're ready, we're going to bring that leg all the way back in. Whew, and put the strap on the other side. So again, leg in the strap is straight, leg out long is straight. Pushing out through your heel, pulling the front of the foot towards you. And then bringing that leg across your body if it feels okay, but again, not letting your whole pelvis roll with it, so still keeping your bottom down on the floor. Leg comes across, and then again, can you lift it maybe a a millimetre higher. Bring that leg back in through centre, slightly turn it out, take it out to the side. Again, can you lift that leg a little higher? Good job. When you're ready, bring that leg back in through centre, getting rid of your strap. Let's take a moment here to lengthen those legs out long, reach your arms overhead and stretch from your fingertips to your toes. Make yourself as long as you can. Circling your arms out to the sides, bending those knees in, give your knees a little hug and just rock gently side to side here. Again, rolling out your lower back. Letting your feet come down to the floor, feet and knees together, arms out to that T position for our spine twist. Again, knees are going to roll from one side to the other. As you come in through centre, let's take those feet wide for our windscreen wipers. Both legs roll to one side, or both knees roll to one side. In through centre and over to the other side. Good job. As you come in through centre this time, we're going to lengthen those legs out long. Arms just wherever is comfortable for you, just like we did right at the start of the session. Let your legs go as wide as is comfortable for you. Maybe your legs want to roll out to the sides. And let's just pause here, take some deep breaths. And just see how your body's feeling. Just noticing whether being in this position maybe feels a little bit more comfortable on your back than it did at the start. If you have a lot of tension in your back. Good. And then when you're ready, just bending those knees in, hold behind your knees and just rock yourself up to seated. Come on up to find a seated position. And we're just going to gently twist from side to side. So we're just going to do a little bit of movement now that we're back in the land of the living. A little bit of a twist, side to side. Let's do a little side bend this time. Let's go up and over one side. Windmill those arms up and over to the other. Let's just do a couple of those. Good job. And then when you're ready, just relax. Release, roll your shoulders, move your head around. You guys are all done.